It's a monster! A monster! Yes, I am talking about Frankentron, the brand new Universal Monsters crossover with Transformers, which is Frankenstein, it says, but it's really Frankenstein's monster called Frankentron, made into a Transformer with some definite elements of both things in there. So I'm going to break this out. We're going to go through them and see if this is a crossover that you want to put in your lab. Be right back. All right, so the packaging on this looks very nice. It has a picture of a Frankensteinian monster type robot, and of course pictures on the back, but the packaging is interesting because it opens up like this. You slide this cover off, and you have Frankentron inside. What's even more interesting with this packaging is on the back, you can see it's the Frankenstein movie video cassette picture. It's not real, obviously, but now it makes more sense why this slid off that way is because it's an homage to the old VCR videotapes. And you can see he has plastic holding him in. So let's free him from this prison. So firstly, I will make an incision here. Very important, we put an incision there for the monster. Pop that open, slide it out, where we find instructions, where it says Frankentron, and a shitty piece of paper. Someone recommended that I use nail clippers instead to cut these little plastic things. And I was like, a knife is cooler, and then I actually got a little cut after, so I was like, nail clippers sound good. So let's try that. A little less violent, not as cool looking. Let me know in the comments, do you prefer that I endanger my life by using a knife? Or do you prefer me to go the safer and less messy route, apparently, with nail clippers? And if you want me to risk life and limb, then that will tell me a lot about you. Of course, sharp nail trimmers might be nice. And I say I missed one. Look a little nervous with me clipping near your little monster. And he's got some blast effects in here. I mean, did it still make a mess? Yes. Do I still have all my fingers? Yes. One of those things is good, one of those things is bad. But let's take a look at this monster. And you can see him there on the turntable of doom, spinning around, getting dizzy. He stands about 5 3/4 inches tall. He's amazingly similar in size to Impactor. I wonder why that is. Yes, if you haven't figured it out, this guy is a repaint remold of Impactor. But a couple interesting things. His hands are sideways. I don't recall that being part of Impactor. Just too lazy to go upstairs and grab an Impactor. He's hanging out with this group called the Wreckers. You may have heard of them. But the blast effects go on the end of his little thing here, and you can put that on his arm. So he's getting power from the sky, or he could be shooting it. Can't really hold it in his hand, but he could be firing it that way. He also has that to fire, or apparently you can put it on top of his other cannon. That looks pretty devastating. But a pretty cool looking robot. I'm going to put this accessory to the side, and we're going to check out his posability, even though if you have an Impactor, you're probably already aware of the posability. First of all, full Jean-Claude Van Damme. He can kick forward, he can kick back, he can kick off to the side, as you might imagine. He does have a bit of ankle swivel, tilts, whatever you want to fucking call him, I don't care. So you could have him standing tall or a little bit more widespread. Now, he does twist kind of in the middle of his torso, which is kind of weird, but he's a monster, so it's all right. Arms. Now, the right arm, unless you move that out of the way, it can't go all the way around, but if you move it out of the way, you can. And as I mentioned, the hands are put in a way that it's the classic monster type thing. And his head turns. Now, a fun fact about Frankenstein is he appeared on a TV in the G1 cartoon when, let's just say, Spike found him very relatable. But he appeared on the TV during that episode, and that induced Spike to think he was a monster.
A monster! That's what you turned me into! A robot monster!
But very posable, just like Impactor, not a ton of back kibble. You can see the treads. He becomes some kind of monstrous tank, which is cool. Now, it has been a while since I've transformed Impactor. I'm sure it's going to come back to me, but I'm just going to glance at the instructions as I put him into his monster vehicle mode. Would he be a monster vehicle? So there is Frankentron in his vehicle mode. Looks very similar, of course, to Impactor, who obviously he's based off of. I think I've mentioned that enough time. You get the point, don't you? Impactor, Impactor, Impactor. But he's got some nice silver spikes in the front. Can definitely break down some stuff. He's got the gun on top. He's apparently a Decepticon. I mean, I thought he was more of a tragic, misunderstood creature, but apparently he's gone full rogue. Nice treads on the side with the Decepticon symbol on each side. Kind of big. And overall, pretty cool tank. Rolls about as well as most Siege things. It's more of a roll slide. So you're apparently supposed to be able to like stick this in here somehow, but I'm not seeing it unless I have the arms mistransformed, but I don't think I do. So I'm not seeing it despite the instructions saying there's a post in there that I should hook this to. I'm not seeing it, so I guess I'm not using it that way. It's really disturbing that the way it shows it in the instructions. I mean, what am I missing here? But I could always attach this to one of the posts on the outside and use it like so, or put it on the tank on the top. So it's still usable in this mode, it's just the instructions are weird. But overall, it's a pretty cool crossover vehicle slash monster, and I'm glad I have it for my collection. Probably have it just stomping and tromping around like a giant Igyak, whatever that is. And I'm not too worried about how it's supposed to be in the instructions because, again, I can improvise, overcome, conquer. Vehicle mode, about 5 inches long, so not bad. It does go for $34.99 as opposed to $24.99, which is what deluxes would normally go for, but again, they have to pay for the licensing with Universal Monsters, apparently. Though I would think that he would be... The character of Frankenstein, I think, is in the public domain, but their rendition of it is not. So you can make a Frankenstein movie, you just can't make him look exactly like theirs. But yeah, not a bad figure. I'll put a link in the description if you want to get them. And while you're mulling over this particular crossover figure, you can also check out another crossover figure, but from a more heroic franchise, the X-Jet from the X-Men. And of course, I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I enjoy making them. We'll see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting. But not for you. That'd be mean.